Good Erev Shabbat and Chodesh Tov u'Mevorach, my dear friends and congregants. In 68 CE, Titus Vespasian, the Emperor of Rome, destroyed the Second Temple in Jerusalem. He wasn't satisfied with his conquest, and in order to further humiliate the Jewish people, he built an arch in Rome. And in order to publicly mark his victory, he decorated that arch with images of vessels of the holy Beit HaMikdash, the temple. The most prominent image is the image of the seven-branched menorah. He also issued coins with that image, bearing the inscription, Judea Capta, Judea is captured. The images on that very arch, which stood as a physical confirmation of defeat and degradation of the Jewish people, actually preserved the seeds of Jewish rebirth. 2,000 years after the arrogant and evil Titus celebrated his victory over Jerusalem, in 1948, when the state of Israel was being established, the newly formed Israeli government chose that very image, the image of the seven-branched menorah, as its national symbol of pride and power. The menorah, which lit up the temple, would be the symbol of the Jewish people being a light unto the nations. The very image that Titus hoped would be a sign of humiliation of the Jewish people 2,000 years later is a sign of our pride and our strength. Jewish history and Jewish life, my friends, is made up of these ironic dualities. On Pesach, we went from Avdut to Cherut, bondage to freedom. This past week, we observed Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day. Here too, we remembered the atrocities of Auschwitz. However, today, we remember the Holocaust in the context of our 71-year-old state of Israel, the source of great pride of the Jewish people. In an era of Western culturalization, when 50 years ago think tanks were writing Orthodox Judaism off as a relic of the past, it has no future in the modern day. There is more Torah being learnt around the world than ever in our history. I join literally hundreds of thousands of Jewish men, women, religious and secular, and everything in between, on a daily basis, learning Daf Yomi, a page of Talmud a day. This has been the Jewish dance, the balance between life's brutal realities and life's blessings and joys, the movement between grief and jubilation. Rosh Chodesh today represents this duality. Its significance and sanctity must be carefully revealed. Rabbi Soloveitchik, whose memorial we observed this past month, teaches that Rosh Chodesh, unlike Shabbat and Jewish holidays whose sanctity is born out of a historical event, the sanctity of Rosh Chodesh emanates directly from the Jewish people's embrace of renewal. We impute Kedusha, sanctity on Rosh Chodesh, by embracing the dance of duality. We must identify with the moon's movement. It wanes and reveals. It hides, leaving us with darkness, and then reappears, illuminating the night. The Gemara in Masechet Menachot teaches, in the name of Rabbi Ishmael, God told Moshe Rabbeinu, observe the moon and notice how from darkness emanates light. The moon will teach you and all future generations that Israel will always be renewed and revitalized, just as the moon. Kazeh re'eh u'kadesh. When you see the little tiny sliver of hidden, almost insignificant light, that is when you sanctify the moon, because that tiny light will always be full of promise and hope. My dear friends, light always follows darkness. Permit me a thought on the Pirashah, related but independent to my Rosh Chodesh reflection. At the beginning of Parshat Tazria, we read about the disease of leprosy. It was a skin condition that was diagnosed and identified by the Kohen. It had certain spiritual qualities that required the Kohen to diagnose the sickness, and not a doctor and not another Torah scholar. If confirmed, the leper, the Metzora, the one with the disease, must be quarantined outside the camp of the Jewish people for a certain amount of time. The pasuk says as follows: V'ra'a hakohen et hanega be'or habasar, and the Kohen will look at the mark on the skin, v'se'ar banega hafach lavan, and the hair on the mark became white, u'mareh hanega amok me'or besaro, and the mark penetrated into the skin, nega tzaratu, that is certainly a sign that it is tzara'at. The pasuk then says, V'ra'ahu hakohen v'timeoto, and the Kohen shall see him and declare him unclean. I noticed something here that none of the commentaries noticed. The Kohen is instructed to look at the mark on the skin, but before he declares this person unclean, before he sends this person into a quarantine, V'ra'ahu hakohen, the Kohen must see the entire person. The Kohen must assess the full picture. Putting this person into quarantine will not only affect him, will affect his family, and will affect the community. Maybe that is why only the Kohen assesses or diagnoses tzara'at. Quarantine affects everybody. And to make that assessment is not easy. And so, my good friends, I close today by wishing you all Shabbat Shalom, a Chodesh Tov. And I assure you, our personal quarantine will soon end. And when it does, I promise you, we will be better and we will be stronger. Shabbat Shalom.